in that ball game, Pat P, there was a 5-star matchup, right?
Yep.
Premier wide receiver going against a premier corner. And usually you're involved in those matchups, but you had an opportunity from afar to kind of watch the matchup between your teammate DeAndre Hopkins and your close friend and Jalen Ramsey. You look at the numbers when they matched up. Of course, against the Rams, D Hop had 8 receptions for 52 yards and 1 touchdown. Specifically against Ramsey, 6 targets, 2 receptions, 16 yards receiving. I mean, that was a very, very intense matchup, and these guys have history against each other. Remember, they both at one point in time were in the AFC. Hop with the Texans, Jalen with the Jaguars, and you look at the previous matchup between the two when they both played against each other in the AFC South. That is, in 7 games, Hop has 44 catches for 507 yards, 3 touchdowns. According to PFF, only 396 yards were against Ramsey in coverage. Ramsey has done a real good job against D Hop. He's a guy that studies your game a lot. And I know you didn't really get a chance to see every rep, but did you get a chance to sneak in and see exactly what these two top-tier players were doing when they were facing off against each other?
I didn't get a chance to see every rep, but I probably saw over 75% of it.
Yeah.
It was a great, great matchup. One I was definitely looking forward to watching from the sideline. And like I said, both of those guys early in the week, both of those guys fall in each other's hands. Hop is a physical receiver, and Jalen is a physical DB, and has a lot of great attributes of on being one of the better corners to ever play the game. I love his tenacity. I love the way he approached the game. I just love everything about Jalen game. He just had great size, great speed, and the right attitude. And the same thing for Hop. Both of those guys just bring um, not only when they go up against each other, but when they have an opportunity to go up against league best, it just brings the best out of them. And in that game, I saw a little bit of not anger, but I saw a different side of Hop. This Sunday, just being more vocal, wanting the ball more, because he know what he can do. And obviously, you saw how vocal Jalen was as well throughout that game. But that's what the game is all about. You always want to be able to, if you consider yourself the best, you want to go up against the best. No matter what the circumstances are, no matter what it may be. If you're the best, how you want to leave your stamp on the game. You go out there and you take on the best, and that's what I admire about Jalen the most, and a lot of other corners in this game that's doing that as well, because that's what you get recognized for. If you say you're a shutdown corner, you say you're a lockdown corner, let's prove it. Prove it when
Yeah.
you going up against the best, not against second and third receivers. No disrespect to them, but you want that team's best, and when you're able to take that team's best out of the game, you have a pretty good opportunity of winning.
What makes, in your opinion, what makes Jalen so good? Because I had an opportunity last training camp, right? I went to Jacksonville when he was a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars and had an opportunity to do a one-on-one with him, on CBS Sports HQ. And one thing that I realized just with talking with him and going through his technique, he studies your game a lot. And if you watch Jalen Ramsey at the line of scrimmage playing bump and run, if you watch Pat Peterson at the line of scrimmage playing bump and run, they look the same in their respectable position. Usually when you playing bump and run, most corners, most DBs get a little low. But if you watch Pat P and if you watch Jalen, they don't necessarily get real low. They kind of standing up a little bit, and it's almost like a little pigeon-toed stance where your toes are kind of pointing in. And while I was talking with him over his technique, some of the things he was revealing to me are some of the things you revealed to me as well. And I know you guys have worked out quite a bit in the offseason together, along with Derwin James, another Florida State alum, great player. We got to get him on the show as well. But tell us a little bit about the technical standpoint and some things that you shared with him, along with what he shared with you to, I guess, to continue to showcase the dominating player he is in coverage.
Jalen has great attributes and a God gift ability that most DBs don't have. You know what I mean? So it wasn't much that I really gave him. It was just a couple nuggets, honestly, because he always had a great stance. He always had great eyes at the line of scrimmage. Now it's all about making the most of it now versus opening the gate, getting more on the receivers. I literally just gave him like 2 or 3 nuggets, and he took it and ran with it.
Mhm.
And and that's just hats off to him because Jalen, we have I want we do have a good relationship. We talk as much as we can, but Jalen is a guy. He's always want to learn. He reminds me so much of myself. He always want to learn. He want to find ways on how to get better. And when he reached out to me, it was like, oh, he gonna be here a while. You know what I mean? Because there's not many guys that's in the position that he is that'll reach out to somebody, that's in the same position as them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Most guys be like, oh, I got it. I made it this far. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have it all figured out. My first 5 years, I had to, go through the lumps and go through the trials and tribulations through trying to figure out how to be more efficient at the line of scrimmage. And then I ran into Rod Hood. I was already at the time, 2-time All Pro, All Pro at 2 different positions. So, I could have been like, oh, I got it figured out, But me being a guy who, who I am, I always want to learn, and no matter who it's from, you know what I mean. And that's how he took it. That's the same approach that he took. We went out to the Bahamas, had a great workout, and he was like, man, how you stay so patient at the line of scrimmage? That's exactly how he asked me. He's like, man, I'm gonna give you a couple, because I watch his game too. I was like, I'm gonna give you a couple of nuggets what I think that'll help you out, and you take it for what you want. You know what I mean? I just think, like you said, it looked like he's too high. But me, why I'm not so low, and I mean not so low because I feel like that's where you put more pressures on your knees, and that's when you create those false steps. When basketball players, when you're
Explain what a false step is at the line of scrimmage. I know some listeners of yours might be like, false step, but coaches go crazy with that false step.
Yeah, a false step is like when you're down and you take a first step forward.
Yep.
Your first movement is forward. That's a false step.
That's you should never do that in bump and run.
Right. So with him, all I told him was, if you're standing up, just try to move backwards. Just standing up, and it's very simple. You're going to be on your balls of the feet. You won't false step. You won't do anything because your pressure is already on the balls of your feet, and the pressure being on the balls of the feet is very, very important to be efficient at the line of scrimmage, because now you're already locked and loaded. You're already, you're just like, you got to think of it as a pistol. Now your feet and all your weight is in the right position to where as soon as that receiver moves, now you're going to be ready to move. So and gave him that little nugget as far as finding his point, because now we're all different, because we're about the same size, but Jalen is a little bit more. He's a little bit more huskier than me in a sense. Like he has a little bit more muscle tone on his body than me. But what I told him, I was like, for me, this is what's comfortable for me. So now you're gonna have to find what's comfortable for you, what's gonna help you to find that pressure point. And that was one of the things that I told him, and that's all he really, really needed. But I gave him a couple other nuggets to really put him ahead of everybody. I can't explain that, but that was one of the nuggets that I gave him, and it definitely slowed him down tremendously. You don't see him taking many false steps. You see him looking at the quarterback a little bit longer. The one nugget I did get, I can give many DBs this because they see it, but another thing is, another key thing why DB make false step, because they're locked in. They're focused on the pitcher. As soon as that guy moves, they have their first movement is obviously now they're shocked because they don't know what's going on. What me and Jalen do is, when we at press, we're standing tall. We're looking at the quarterback go through his cadence, because that's the guy that's going to tell us when the ball's coming.
Yep.
So I'm in there looking at him, going through his cadence. And that also go with film study as well, because you have to know when the cadence is coming or what his cadence is. So boom, I'm looking at the quarterback, looking at his cadence. So now as soon as he get down, now I'm getting locked and loaded. So now I know, now it's a clock in my head. Once I get down, he's saying height within 3 seconds, or within that 1 or 2 second range. So now I'm expecting to go versus guessing when to go.
Mm-hmm. And another reason why that's so important for DBs is that you don't want to be in your stance too long, because you get impatient and then you might get off balance. And that usually leads to you getting on your heels. And anytime you get on your heels, the battle is lost. You lost the battle. So understanding and knowing the cadence is important, because you don't want to be in a position, in that bump and one position too long, and now you're getting ready to guess, is he getting ready to come off, and when is he coming off, and you get a little impatient in your stance.
100%.
That's never good.